Write the partial fraction decomposition of the following rational expression. 2x plus 1 over x squared minus 5x minus 6. So the first thing we should do is try to factor the denominator. So we want two numbers that when you multiply them give you negative 6, and when you add them give you negative 5. So that's x minus 6 times x plus 1, right? So what we want our partial fraction decomposition to be is some number a over one of the factors x minus 6 plus some number b over the other factor. So we have to solve this equation here, right? So I'm going to rewrite it down here. So we've got 2x plus 1 over x minus 6 times x plus 1. So the first thing I want to do to solve this is to multiply both sides of the equation by the lowest common denominator. So since the LCD is x minus 6 times x plus 1, I want to multiply both sides of the equation by that LCD. So now on the left side, these two guys cancel out, right? So what we're left with is 2x plus 1. And then on the right, what we're left with is a times x plus 1 plus b times x minus 6. So now let's simplify the expression on the right, distributing that a and that b. Right, so that's what we end up getting. And now what I want to do is I want to group all the terms with x in them together, and I want to group all the constant terms together. So grouping all the terms with x and factoring out of an x, we get an a plus b times x, and then for the constant term we have a minus 6b. And this has to be equal to 2x plus 1. So since this has to be equal to 2x, since these two expressions have to be equal, then we can reason that the coefficient for the x term on the left has to be equal to the coefficient for the x term on the right. And similarly, the constant term on the left has to be equal to the constant term on the right. So what we have is a plus b has to be equal to 2, and a minus 6b has to be equal to 1. So now this looks like a system of equations in two variables, right? So what we can do is use the substitution method. So I'm going to subtract an a from both sides of the equation so that b is going to be equal to 2 minus a. So now since we know what b is in terms of a, we can substitute that into the second equation. So a minus 6 times 2 minus a is equal to 1. So I want to distribute this negative 6 into this difference. So we get a minus 12 plus 6a is equal to 1. So 7a minus 12 is equal to 1. And thus a has to be equal to 13 over 7. So we've got our a. Now we need to find our b. And the way to do that is to just plug it into whatever equation you want. So let's plug in our proposed a into the first equation. So we have a plus b is equal to 2. So 13 over 7 plus b has to be equal to 2. So b is equal to 2 minus 13 over 7. And we can find the LCD and multiply the top and bottom by 7 so that we can get a common denominator. So we have 14 over 7 minus 13 over 7, which equals to 1 over 7. So now that we found our a and our b, let's go back. And remember that our proposed partial fraction decomposition looks like that, so let's rewrite that. So, excuse me. 2x plus 1 over x squared minus 5x minus 6 has to be equal to a over x minus 6 plus b over x plus 1, right? Let's check that. Right. And since we found our a and b, we can replace them, right? So a is 13 over 7. So 13 is going to go in the numerator, 7 is going to go in the denominator along with the x minus 6. And then b is 1 over 7, so 1 is going to go in the numerator, and 7 is going to go in the denominator along with the x plus 1. So now we found the partial fraction decomposition of this rational expression.